So let me just give you a kind of recap of what happened. When we started the project, the Museum of Modern Art had 85,000 square feet of exhibition space. When we ended it, we had 125,000 square feet. When we started the project, we had no additional outside exhibition space. After the merger with PS1, we have another 125,000 pure exhibition space. When we started the project, we had 1,300,000 visitors on average. When we ended the project, actually our visitation has grown. Here in 08 it was 2.7 million. In 09 it became 2.9 million. So we're growing very fast, close to 3 million visitors. When we started the project, our membership base was 35,000. In 08, it was 110,000. It's actually 125,000 today. And our members are our lifeblood. They are the people, I'm sure at Ponce, who come back over and over again every year. When we started the project, we had an endowment of $204 million. Part of that capital campaign that raised over $900 million was to grow the endowment. In 2008, it was $818 million. Today, I wish I could say it was still $818 million. And maybe one of the great friends of yours here from UBS could help us figure out how to get it back to 818. It's about $725 million today. But we hope it will get back to 800. We had no debt in 1995. Today we have $300 million of debt from this project, but we have a plan that will reduce the debt. Our operating budget was $54 million gross, $177 million after the project. It netted out at about 85 million, sorry, 35 million before, 114 million today. So you can see how this project really was a kind of extraordinary catalyst for a new institution, larger, more dynamic, and I'm very proud we have managed to always have a balanced budget. So as we grew the building, as we grew our audience, we were also able to grow our financial support. Let me close with a few images. This is the new museum, where we invited Doug Aiken, an artist actually that we discovered at PS1, to create a work of art for us. And he said, I'm not interested in being inside the museum. I want to create a work of art for you that's on the outside of the museum. And I'm not interested in the people who come to the museum during the day. I want to create a work of art for New Yorkers at night. So he created something called Sleepwalkers, where he was able to work with actors like Tilda Swinton you see on the left, musicians like Seu Jorge from Brazil, Donald Sutherland, the great actor from Canada, and he created this multiplex on the facade of the museum that was up for a month, in which the museum was turned inside out. And I think it was one of the most beautiful and transforming works of art we've ever been involved with, because Doug understood that the new Museum of Modern Art had to be about experience. Works of art were no longer passive objects that existed alone in a room. They were actually catalysts for an engagement with the public, in which the public actually becomes as important as the object itself. Precisely what Pipi Lottie-Rist understood when she created this work of art for our atrium the following year called Pour Your Body Out, in which literally thousands of people every day came in, took their shoes off, put their children inside this kind of giant donut, and sat in this overall immersive environment and began conversations with each other. And I remember going through this and literally being amazed that people who had never seen each other were literally talking to each other and becoming utterly subsumed by the experience of looking at art. And they were creating for themselves a new, common, and shared experience that would have been impossible without Pipi Lottie's intervention. And Pipi Lottie was also an artist that we first encountered at PS1. And this image, for me, says everything about what a museum should be like. We invited Olafur Eliasson, a great Danish artist, to do an exhibition for us. And in our atrium, he placed a fan on a long cord. And this fan would just whiz around the atrium, going around and around and around, and it would catch an air current, and suddenly it would lift up, and then it would lose the current, and it would come down, and it was kind of hypnotic. But what happened was that people, of course, would look at the fan, but this young man jumped for joy. Literally had this one ecstatic moment when he took off, just like the fan. And for me, I look at this and I realize this moment, this one moment, when this child left the ground, became part of this work of art, was how a museum creates transfixing experiences that will live forever in this young child's mind. And that energy, that ecstatic moment of that child is what is taking place here at the museum. I told you how PS1 was about infecting the museum, how we wanted to harness the energy of those young people who were going to PS1, and we wanted to migrate that to the Museum of Modern Art. And this is what happens at the Museum of Modern Art. Most Thursday and Friday nights, we do concerts for young people, but anyone can attend. We get anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 people who pack into the museum to turn it into their own museum. They take over, we get out of the way, and they literally make this their place. And if we are successful in ensuring that this generation is as engaged with the museum as my generation and my parents' generation, then our museum will be a dynamic and catalytic engine in the urban context of New York. And that's what I believe all great museums like Ponce ultimately are. They are catalysts and engines for the way in which cities construct and think about themselves. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak with you.